Protection is critical for spiritual awakening and spiritual development. Today, I'm going to talk to you about protecting yourself using the sacred fire and several other tips to protect yourself against unwanted influences that are surrounding us at all times in the third and fourth and astral dimensional planes. Now, I have a couple of videos where I have talked about interference. One of them is in my video on our spiritual gifts and talents, telepathy, who's controlling your mind. Another video I've done is also about ETs and negative dark forces who are influencing you. But this video is a discussion on how to protect yourself. Before you even begin a meditation practice, you must clearly understand that you have to create a sphere of protection. We are open vessels. We are like sending and receiving signals constantly. And if you do not want to get all the lower astral negative forces and your past lineage of dead relatives and who knows what all from hundreds of years of your relatives on your lineage influencing you, you need to protect yourself. So there is a reason why this is very critical. Without your own sacred space, your own place for your own self-sovereignty, you cannot get clear information and clear guidance. And the next thing I want to tell you is higher consciousness beings beyond fourth density, I'm talking fifth, sixth, seventh, and up, higher consciousness beings do not channel. They work through your divine blueprint by giving you personal, internal, telepathic messages, visions, synchronicities, premonitions, precognitions, and all of those spiritual gifts that I've talked to you about. So what you want to do when you begin to meditate, and I am discussing the sacred fire because this is the star lineage that was activated within me, and it is the one that I teach. And the sacred fire, I have a number of videos on what it is and how to use it. But today we're going to use it for protection. So when you begin to start a meditation practice, you want to build a sphere of sacred fire protection. That's all you want your meditation practice to be. You want to sit 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes before you go to bed, and you want to visualize and feel and experience and use all of your senses that you are capable of being aware of to build this sphere around you. And you want to make this sphere at least about 6 feet in diameter, wide, and I mean in diameter. So it can be a little bit wider, but I wouldn't go past about 6, 8 feet. You need to be able to sense it clearly. So when you get your sphere too big, you're not able to really guard those edges and build those edges because they're a little bit beyond a comfortable sensing zone. So you want to sit in meditation. You want to call on the sacred fire. And you want to call on the sacred fire through your divine blueprint, through your divine mighty I Am presence. And you call on that fire to come into you and to active and to help you build this sphere of protection. And so you want to see this fire coming in and engulfing you. And then you want to see it radiating out into a sphere from within you out into a sphere of about 6 feet in diameter. And you want to build this sphere walls thick as you can visualize them. And this takes visualization, friends, and meditation. This is an active meditation. Passive meditations are only useful for stress relief and things like this right now. We're talking active meditations. So you need to use the power of your visualization to visualize the interior of your sphere and the exterior of your sphere. And you could make it 6 inches, 8 inches, 12 inches thick from the inside to the outside. However thick you feel comfortable making it. And you want to build this sphere 15 minutes at least in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening before bed, especially before bed because you astral travel. And even if you aren't astral traveling, your consciousness goes into other densities and frequencies of reality. And if you don't have the sphere of protection, you are constantly bombarded by junk, stuff you cannot deal with, stuff you don't even understand, and you don't need to be having that kind of influence. And so this could take 6 months for you to build a good solid sphere. Maybe it takes a year. I don't know about your abilities to really learn to discipline and focus your disciple mind, which many disciples that are now starting to do spiritual work have like a monkey mind. They can't keep still. They can't zero in, focus like a laser, and build and construct reality. So here is your reality, the most important reality you will ever build and construct for yourself is your sphere of protection. That way, when people in the world are sending you negative vibes and they're upset at you or they're angry at you, or you're viewing something that's negative in the world or whatever is coming towards you, it's going to bounce off the outside of your sphere. And when you are commanding this sphere to be created, you want to create the outside layer of your sphere to reject, to return all discordant energy back to its source. So you want that negative stuff to bounce off and go back to where it was created. You don't want to take it in and you don't want to absorb it. You want it to all bounce off because, friends, you already have enough negative energy inside yourself that you're dealing with. You don't need the outside physical world, and you surely don't need the interference of the astral world and fourth density aliens and dark forces. And I'm just going to tell you right now, and I'm not saying it's absolutely everyone, but most of that stuff on YouTube, stay away from conspiracy theories, especially David Icke. Stay away from people who channel. At best, they're channeling their egos and they want to bring you love and light and peace and joy. That's, you know, maybe harmless. But most people who are really channeling, they are channeling astral and fourth density beings because higher beings do not channel. Higher beings do not channel. I'm making this very clear to you. Ascended masters do not channel. High archangels do not channel. Ascended beings don't channel. So every being that's of a high advanced level works through your divine blueprint. So now what you want to do is, with this sphere being strong, you want to get up. Now, when you can move past just constructing it, the next step to do in meditation is to realize when you sit down again to do your meditation of protection, realize it's already built. The framework has been built. So don't rebuild it. Once you build the original framework, it's there. Don't doubt it and start over again. You can't strengthen it if you keep rebuilding it. It's built. How you strengthen your sphere of protection is when you start your meditation practice, get up. And if you don't have an astral body that's trained enough to get up in your mind. Use your visualization and get up in your mind and stand in your sphere. Reach your hands out, touch that wall. And if it's a little bit past your arm length, move. Go and walk around your sphere and touch the inner walls. And when you touch those inner walls with your mind or your astral body, feel them as solid energy, because the sacred fire can solidify. The sacred fire can become so solid, it can actually visualize itself. And it can become so solid, it affects your physical body. And those of you who are working with my sacred fire, and this is specifically for my Patreon group, we are working with the sacred fire, we are working with protection. And so this video is going into my Patreon group if you want to join it. We have big discussions on this. But especially when you are doing this, you want to make sure that it is solid. Because when you are beginning to do the sacred fire meditation, where you are now activating the ability to clean and purify your energy system, a real physical energy comes into your body. And I have videos on this. Your body will shake. It will spin. It will vibrate. It can shake, you know, quite dramatically. The reason this is happening is because this high frequency that was given to me as a star lineage, because friends, we need a lineage of sacred meditation and preparation. India has known this for generations. And if you do not have someone who's holding the lineage and passing it through to other people, you are out there, you know, in the Wild West trying to find a meditation. So it's important that you understand that the sacred fire will be physical in your body and you will have feelings. So it does manifest in a physical way. So in your spherical protection, I have actually had experiences, I wrote about this in my book, where my sphere was so powerful that I went one time to a movie theater that wasn't too crowded, but and I was by myself. I was popping in on an afternoon, sort of a retreat for myself. And I sat down and there were people on the sides of me and even someone in front of me in this movie theater. And shortly after I had been sitting there for a while, two of these people got up and moved. And I had later asked some of my higher beings that I work with about this. And they were telling me how people who are sitting next to you, whether you're in a restaurant or hopefully you're not in a bar, but let's say you go to a bar for a birthday, okay? And you will find that if you went to some sort of restaurant or some sort of bar for happy hour birthdays, if your sphere is powerful enough, really negative people will start to move. They'll move from the bar stool, they'll move from the table, they'll get up from the movie theater and move on over. Because what's happening is their own negative energy is not going into you and you're not sucking it in, it's bouncing off, and now they just keep sitting there with their own negative energy constantly bombarding them. Like what they send out, they get back instantly because it's bouncing off your sphere. And so they move, and that's quite all right. Let them move. Now this is when your sphere is really powerful. I've walked into places and I could feel the whole energy shift when I walk in. And what's shifting the energy is my sphere. My sphere is going into a space with me, and it is setting up the energy for me so that I can sense quite clearly where's the negative pockets, where's the positive pockets. I can see people reacting. And so this is, you need this in order to have clarity, because when you go to start seriously meditating, and meditating takes years and years of discipline to open into higher consciousness. There is only one way to get into higher consciousness, meditation. And you can't be stuck trying to meditate in astral energy or in that fourth density grays and reptilians and negative entities and even Nordics and even maybe benign beings that live in the fourth density. Not all of them are, you know, negative, but they're just lower. They have lower information. They can't give you the highest information. So in order to get clarity through your own divine blueprint, through your own higher consciousness, you need to be sitting in a space that's clear. And so there's another whole bunch of videos I've done on doing your own lineage cleansing and purifying, because once you've set up your sphere and you're not being bombarded by everything else out there, now you have the ability to work on your own stuff. And that means using the sacred fire to clean up your lineage on both your mother and father's side. It means cleaning up your own patterns and setting up your own and moving that sacred fire out into the future to create the life you want in the future. And so there's many levels to the sacred fire. But today, the main issue I'm trying to bring to you is the one on protection. Because you cannot, friends, go read a book or go watch a video or go sit with a guru or whoever you go sit with who's teaching meditation and sit down and start meditating and do all your deep breathing and, you know, close your eyes and relax. If that's what they're teaching you, run. Now, I'm not saying they aren't good people and that they aren't trying to help you. But if a spiritual teacher does not teach you protection first, they don't know what they're doing. They are dwelling in the world like you are. They're not out there in these other dimensions. People like me, and there are many of us who astral travel, and those of us who can move into higher consciousness and higher density bodies, we know what's out there. We've been on ships. We've seen the aliens. We've been into higher densities. We know where the good guys are. So always start your meditations with protection. And once you've built it, even when you sit down and you've had years of this solid sphere around you, when you sit down and begin to meditate, just make a quick mental tap that you're in your sphere and then get going. You won't have to work on it. You could work on it the rest of your life by just adding a layer and adding a layer and adding a layer. And it's not necessarily that the walls are getting bigger and bigger. You could make them that way, but the layer is just strengthening the edge, the wall that you created. So if you have a 6-inch, 8-inch wall out there on your sphere, that's the inner wall from the outer wall. Adding a layer, which is sometimes what I do, I just add a layer. It just gets absorbed into the wall, making the wall stronger. And real quickly before I end this video, you can do this for your home and your property. I put a sphere around my property boundaries, as well as my home, as well as my family, as well as my computer and, you know, your money and your bank. I mean, anywhere you want protected, you can build little spheres and put them in the sacred fire. So that's my video for today, friends. Come join me on Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.